Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, I have just gotten back from the theater after watching Jurassic World Dominion, and got some thoughts, got some review, and whatnot. I will, of course, begin with the spoiler-free review, so if you do not want to be spoiled, you can watch this part of the review. There will not be spoilers. I will have this up for spoiler-free review. And as I continue into spoilers, when I do get to the section for spoilers, I will switch it over to spoiler review. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. I am going both live on Facebook and on YouTube. So hello to everybody. And Vanja, good to see you. And Rough Girl, it's always a pleasure to see you. And Vanja, always good to see you. So, without further ado, good to see you, Jeffrey. I see you left a like on Facebook. Thank you so much. So, Jurassic World Dominion. This brings the Jurassic franchise to a close. This brings in all the older characters and with the newer ones, with the Jurassic Park cast, with the Jurassic World cast. And I gotta say that this movie, it's a movie. It has some great story. It has some brilliant writing, but it also has some very weak writing. One thing I did notice is that there's a lot of reports behind the scenes that, oh, this is a feminist movie. Oh, this is, or the girl or the women are going to really shine in this movie. Yet there is no overt real agenda in this movie. That is one thing that actually gives it a good score, and a high score, in my opinion. Subjectively speaking, of course. And yet, this movie does have some objective flaws. One thing that I notice a lot in this movie is the choppiness and the shakiness of the velociraptors, specifically Blue and her baby Beta. It almost looks like they wanted to do stop motion, meaning they pose, shoot a frame, pose, shoot a frame, pose, shoot a frame. But also blend it with CGI, which doesn't really work very well. Good to see you, Jedi Padawan Trailer. Always a pleasure. Yet, this is one of the bigger gripes because Beta and Blue happen to have quite a bit of interaction in this movie. Now, the CGI is good in other areas, however, it is not good in those areas, specifically with those two raptors. The continuation from Fallen Kingdom, where a lot of people notice the story of the cloned girl from Fallen Kingdom, she plays a bigger role in this. She has a bigger part to her story, which ties in through retcon into the Jurassic Park movies. Now, when I say that this movie has problems with writing, it's mostly with the character of Alan Grant. The way that I have seen him in the past movies, Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 3, he portrays himself very well. However, in this movie, it does seem that he is less than what he used to be. Not lesser in, like, he slowed down because he got older. Lesser as in his character seemed more intimidated by Ellie. And it just makes you wonder, why is that? Now, I'm not, like I said, I didn't see overt agenda, meaning I wouldn't say that this movie is overtly woke. However, with that said, his scenes with Ellie Sattler, Laura Dern's character, he seems to be either shy kid in love or he's intimidated by her. And honestly, I don't understand why he would be. Because, well, they knew each other for years. I mean, very much years. I don't get it. For the story, I actually think that this movie hits about a, a 7 out of 10. The story is pretty decent. It really does tie in the complete Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. It shows that these characters all have history. Now, we do get a lot more dinosaurs, and many of them are in the trailers. So it's not have these new ones called Atrociraptors. They're the ones that you see in the trailer chasing Owen while he's on a bike throughout, I think it was Malta. But they have a lot of locations in this movie. You also see what looks like a Archaeopteryx kind of raptor-like thing. That's the one that you see go into the ice with Owen and whatnot. You also have this chick with Owen, the black girl. I can't remember her name to save my life. I think her name was in one of the shorts I did that actually got pretty decent amount of attention. Let me check that. Yeah, I forget her name. There are some characters in here that you don't forget who they are, but you do forget their names. And that's the thing that I really, it's like I checked my phone twice for the time because I was starting to get bored in certain areas. So that tells you right off that this movie does have problems. If I'm getting bored, that takes a point or two off. Now, let me let's see here. Yeah, where is it? I think this is it. World Dominion actress DeWanda Weiss says her characters. Yeah, DeWanda Weiss. Now, there was this whole thing about how her character is bisexual, queer in the reports and whatnot, and also Laura Dern saying, "Oh, this is going to be a women's movie and such." There is no real overt agenda here. In fact, DeWanda Weiss's character's sexuality doesn't even come up. She doesn't portray her character in any way that says, "I'm bisexual queer." So if she is bisexual queer, well, then okay. But the thing is, there's really no way to really say whether she is or isn't, you know? He saw what she turned into when she became a purple hair bone wearing space admiral. Yeah. Now, and Ruben Thomas, good to see you. Jacob Ironside, good to see you. Make sure that you all leave a like and whatnot, folks. It really does help the channel, and share the stream out if you can on Twitter or Facebook or whatever social media you may be on. But yes, getting into this movie, you see all sorts of callbacks to the originals. I will save some of those callbacks for the spoiler section of this review. One of the things I did like about this movie was the score. It really was fully reminiscent of John Williams' original score of Jurassic Park. However, there are other elements that were not so much, but I did really love hearing the original classic Jurassic Park theme. That one, you know? And it really did bring back the excitement. I really did enjoy it. And you also have the little bit of a John Williams-esque small bits where you have Claire in the woods in one scene where it's almost reminiscent to 80s John Williams, like Return of the Jedi, kind of a little bit of very soft orchestra there. That is one of the highlights of this film. The story is basically continuing on from what Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom had, where all of the dinosaurs were let loose. We are seeing the effects of it. We are seeing the effects of this particular ecological event, so to speak. We see the Mosasaurus and what it's doing. We see other animals and dinosaurs coexisting. There's just so much going on. And I really do enjoy it. However, there's other parts in this movie that it's like, oh my God, this is just either bad acting or it's just very boring. And it makes you wonder, what was the purpose of it, you know? So yeah, the main acting problems, I mean, Sam Neill is a good actor. Do not get me wrong. I really do like his acting in other movies, especially the Jurassic Park 1 and 3. Even though Jurassic Park 3 really was terrible, he actually had good acting. I've also seen him in other movies that I enjoyed watching too. Now, more bait and switch. If it's a movie that's gonna be super woke, they say it's not. If it's a movie that's not woke, then they say it's gonna be woke. Essentially, yes, the marketing or the interviews that they did suggested that this movie was going to be woke. However, there is nothing overtly woke in this movie. That is the problem with Hollywood. They have to basically say, oh, this is in here and this is in here, and we're going to have a queer bisexual thingamajig that's supposedly a woman, but what is a woman nowadays, you know? And yet, when we see the movie, there's no agenda there. And that's a good thing. We need more movies like that. We need to see more movies without overt agenda, but we also need them to be good. When it comes to Jurassic World Dominion, this movie has some terrible acting, some terrible writing, and some very terrible CGI. This movie, from an objective standpoint, sits at about a 6 to 6.5 out of 10. That's not good. This is supposed to be the last Jurassic Park movie. From an objective standpoint, this movie at best is a 6.5. That is a 65 out of 100. That's just at the passing level. That's a D in school. You just passed by the skin of your teeth. However, subjectively, I would put this movie at about a 4.5 out of 5 or out of 10 static 2020. That's the question. Is that 4.5 out of 10 or 4.5 out of 5? We got an email from our film booker to hold on to the IMAX out of 10. Well, okay, that's your opinion. To hold on to the IMAX drives for Top Gun because it'll likely be put back in there. That tells you something. I'm not reviewing Top Gun right now, so I wouldn't know. Out of 10. Okay. Well, subjectively for me, I enjoyed this movie for the most part, but I did end up checking my phone to see what time it was. I did that twice, and it's like there's some stuff going on in here that's just kind of boring me right now. So objective or subjectively, I would put this movie at about an 8 to an 8.5. This movie is good. It has heart, but the CGI is also one of the main problems with it. And also, what the hell is Alan Grant acting like he's some sort of beta male? I didn't get that. When it comes to his expertise in dinosaurs and whatnot, it seemed he was trying too hard, and plus they were trying to put a little bit too much comedy in here. Now, I get that some of these movies do need the comedy or do need some comedy, but you need to find a balance. And this movie had too much comedy in it, in my opinion. When you're dealing with something serious like dinosaurs and their very dangerous situations, you don't want to be joking a lot. That really does set the scene in a way that makes it very uneven. So, yeah, subjectively, I would put it at about an 8 to an 8.5. Moviegoer, I would put it at about an 8.5 to a 9 because I was bored a little bit and I was checking my phone to see what time it was. But for the most part, I did enjoy this movie. It was enjoyable. I was entertained. But yes, there were parts in it that I was bored. Now, with that out of the way, I am going to start moving this into spoilers. So if you do not want to be spoiled, I'm going to give you a chance to move out right now. The spoiler review note is up, and I'm going to be starting to spill spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, one of the things the Static 2020 says, this movie is a bit too long. They could have cut this movie about 10 to 20 to 15 minutes, even 20 minutes. They could have cut stuff out. I can't remember who was the cast of Dominion. The original Jurassic Park will always be the best. I'm glad it's kind of separated into Jurassic World. Yes, that is one thing I will say. Jurassic Park will always be the more superior movie. Now, there. Who was it? Who was it? Yeah. Campbell Scott was in this movie, and he played Dodgson, who I believe was in the first Jurassic Park movie. Dodgson, we got Dodgson here. You see, nobody cares. So apparently this guy is a super genius as well. Heading out, Biosyn. And they are a corporate entity that is trying to unlock the genome to cure diseases, but they're also using Cretaceous DNA into some locusts that are ripping apart the world's ecosystem and food resources, like grain. But they won't touch Biosyn seed fields. Any field that is seeded by Biosyn's seeds will not be touched. So they're trying to, basically, this tells you they're trying to control the food distribution of our planet. Now, Ellie is the one who is checking out all the bugs, the prehistoric bugs, these giant locusts and whatnot. And she manages to catch one, or she manages to get a live specimen from these two kids that actually catch one alive. And she goes to Grant for help so that they can sneak into Biosyn and get a DNA sample from one of their locusts to see if it can be tested. Now, also, there is or they need the help of, Ian Malcolm, where it's like, okay. And we see Ian Malcolm in Biosyn. He's kind of like their undercover guy. And it's a great scene. And it's he just goes right back into that. Hey, Becky Brown, good to see you. Now, he falls back into his character very well, Ian Malcolm, where Sam Neill his character he went from a great character in the Jurassic Park movies to not so much. They focused on too much comedy in this movie. Where in this movie you have dinosaurs slaughtering people, so you might want to actually have the tone be a little bit more serious. And that is all well and good. Now, yes, the women do shine in this movie as well, as they have shined in the other movies. They've done well. Now, Claire is still doing her activism, freeing the dinosaurs and whatnot, but they end up, after a close call, decide that they need to call it quits, And you see Grady, or Owen, he's rounding up animals so that they can be brought to a wildlife preserve, and you also see these poachers are tracking him. Well, there's news reports that a human clone is alive and out there of Charlotte Lockwood, I think. Let me check the cast again. Yeah, Maisie Lockwood or Charlotte Lockwood. She plays both versions, because you actually see both versions in this movie. And it's like, okay. Yeah, Charlotte Lockwood, who's also played by another actress, Elva Trill. There are some good cast members in this movie, and there are some interesting cast members. Omar Sy from Jurassic World 1 is back in this movie, which is good. They actually have Deacon Lockman from so many other movies. She plays Soyona Santos, where she's a black market dealer and dinosaurs and whatnot. She's the ones that have the Atrociraptors, where if you laze them or if you laze a target, they'll chase and they won't stop until they kill it. The ones that are chasing Owen. And she plays a villain very well. Let's just say that she plays a villain very well in this movie. So definite props to her. She gives off the very villainous role, and she does it very well. Where Campbell Scott plays this he plays Dodgson, and he's evil, but he also comes off as a very timid kind of guy. And he gets Nedried. Let's just say that. He gets Nedried. They bring in all sorts of dinosaurs. The Dilophosaurus is back. So when I say Nedried, we all know what happened to Nedry. They bring back the can. The original can. You all know what I mean if you have seen Jurassic Park. They have so many callbacks and so many tributes to the originals. You see the original, or that claw that Alan tossed away in the first movie, miraculously makes an appearance in this movie. And you see other small little tidbits sprinkled throughout the movie. And it really is great. One of the things I truly liked about this movie, though, is how Owen and Blue's relationship really does it is a mutual understanding that he knows she is very dangerous, yet he still will he can't let her go. And we see Beta, and it's explained in this movie why um Blue has Beta, how she is able to reproduce and have Beta. It is actually explained. Um we have Lenny Wu back in this movie as well. Of course, I'm not seeing his acting chops in the cast, so I'm wondering where that is. Who plays Lenny? Henry Wu. Yeah. Not Lenny Wu, Henry Wu. Actor. Yeah, BD Wong. I forget I forget his name. Ah, thank you, Becky. It just turned up on the chat in here. Well, let's. No. Yeah, there. I hate it when people try getting a hold of me when they know that I'm going to be live. But anyway, so yes, he plays a big part in this, and he finally gets his redemption. Henry Wu finally gets his redemption in this movie, and I'm glad that he does because his character was originally inspired by science, then it became inspired by greed, and then it became he realized that he was a mad scientist and he needed to stop. I'm glad that he did, or he had that arc. Now the serious question, what movie candy did you get? I got popcorn. My concessions at the small town theater in which I go to, the Adirondack State Theater, which they are great there, by the way. I got popcorn there. I always get a large bag. I always support my theater because I choose to support them monetarily because they are indeed small town theaters are more friendly. They don't try to push a corporate message and whatnot. One of the things I just wish would change about it is that when they have this weird ad system where they're literally show you a report on the movie that you're about to watch that kind of gives you a little bit of spoilers, and that's not good. Other than that, hold on. There. So yes, I had a bottle of water and some popcorn, Becky. But yes, this movie, like I said, one of the things that I was bored about was the corporate part of Biosyn, where they were moving through there and they were talking with Ian Malcolm, and Ian Malcolm was helping them get into the restricted areas to find what they needed to get. But it's like, okay, this is just it's tedious, but it's also important. But it was done in a way that was boring. Like I said, the main problems with this movie is some weak acting on Sam Neill's part and the bad CGI for the Raptors, specifically Blue and Beta. They did not know how to light their CG creations very well. Also, I do love how we see Dimetrodons in this movie. Now, for those of you who do not know what a Dimetrodon is, they're the four-legged lizards that have the big sail on their back that are not dinosaurs. They're not dinosaurs. And I really do love how they have them in this movie. How they are able to sustain life of a Dimetrodon in this movie, scientifically speaking, is beyond me, but I really did enjoy seeing them. Who is Scott? I'm not seeing a Scott in my chat. But yeah, I really do. Or did Rexy look okay? Rexy did look good. Rexy looked great in this film. Now we also have the Giganotosaurus, or the Giganotosaurus. I call it that. They call it Giganotosaurus or something else, which is the biggest carnivore to ever walk the earth and whatnot. Hold on one second. There we go. One of the now let me do live chat, because I'm seeing Becky talk to somebody named Scott, but I don't know who she's talking to. Crocodiles with fins. Vanja, that's actually not really accurate when it comes to the Dimetrodons. Dimetrodons are not crocodilian. Their mouths are very much saurian, which has led scientists to believe that they were the predecessors to dinosaurs. Am I crazy that I liked the Spinosaurus? No, you're not crazy. I mean, I thought the Spinosaurus aegyptigus was actually a very good touch in Jurassic Park 3. It's just there was parts of that movie that were ridiculous that I didn't think were done well. As for Jurassic World Dominion, getting back to this one, we don't see another Spinosaurus in this movie. We see Rexy from original Jurassic Park in this movie, and she looks beautiful. We also, at the end of the movie, see the mommy, daddy, and juvenile from Jurassic Park or Lost World. However, the juvenile is now a full-grown adult. We see three other T-Rex in there. So that's, I'm guessing, are those three. There's so much that is well done in this movie. I really did enjoy watching it for the most part. However, I was bored in a couple areas. But for the most part, the movie was enjoyable. That's why I'm giving it an 8.5. The Giga Catasaur. Yes, thank you. Yes, definitely do hit the like button while you're here, folks. But for the most part, this movie, like I said, objectively, the CGI is bad. They did try to blend, it seems, CGI with stop motion when it came to Blue and Beta. And it's like, try to figure out what you're doing, Universal, because this is not working. When you have an objective score of 6.5 out of 10, which means you are passing by the skin of your teeth, Literally. Was there a Diversosaurus? This movie didn't have any woke elements in it. Well, nothing overtly woke, I should say, Soul Assassin. Agenda-wise or wokeometer, I would say that the wokeometer dials up to about maybe 2, maybe 3, but there's no real overt wokeness in this movie. I mean, aside from Alan Grant kind of being a little bit of a beta male in certain scenes when he's seeing Ellie Sattler, but that could just be because he's crushing on him. Now, one of the things I found very interesting is that Laura Dern said how inappropriate the age difference between Sam Neill and Laura Dern were, but their characters, I'm guessing, were closer in age. It was like a 21-year difference, but yet they're freaking getting together in this movie because she's divorced from her husband. And it's like, okay. So yeah, they finally get together. And you find out that this clone girl, Maisie, she can, when they're looking for Beta, because you see in the trailer that Beta gets kidnapped, and when they're about to rescue Beta, and Beta's not enjoying, or she's confused, she's lost, she's scared, and whatnot, so she's ready to attack anybody. So Maisie just runs up and does what Owen does with Blue. And I'm like, dumb fucking move. But it turns out, okay, so whatever. That's one of the things that I say is bad writing. And it just doesn't make sense. It's odd that the CGI wasn't done very well in this one, considering that the OG Jurassic Park was lauded for its CGI. Exactly. That's one of the crazy things about this movie. And many movies nowadays are trying to go too much CGI. Where the original Jurassic Park, they used CGI, but they also used practical puppets and whatnot for the dinosaurs. But yes, Rexy also has a final fight, which she wins in this film. She fights the Giganotosaurus. Also, there's this Theolystrosaurus or whatever it's called. I call it the Freddy Kruegersaurus. It's feathered and it has really long claws and it's blind. And it steps in to fight the Giganotosaurus when you think that it kills Rexy. But Rexy's not, or I knew that Rexy wasn't going to die in this film. If they killed Rexy in this film, believe me, people would have been pissed. That's what pissed off people in Jurassic Park 3 when the Spinosaurus snaps the neck of that Tyrannosaurus and then throws it like a rag doll. That pissed off a lot of people. But yeah, this movie, one of the things they should have done was actually have the Spinosaurus in this movie, because honestly, the Spinosaurus lived in Jurassic Park 3. The music, Becky, is actually very well done. The score is one of this movie's top things. I thought if they left Rexy dead, that would have signified the death of the franchise. Yeah, this is the end of the franchise. Jurassic World Dominion is no longer, or there's nothing else after this. But Rexy needed a win. And Rexy needed a full win. Not one where Mosey comes up and kills the Indominus. But Rexy needed a win. And Rexy shoves the Giganotosaurus into the Freddy Kruegersaurus's long nails, killing it. And that is great. So Rexy does get an actual full win, because you also see her lose a little bit earlier in the film when the Giganotosaurus comes in, and where Rexy's about to eat a deer, and Giganotosaurus comes in and or bites onto her muzzle, and she gets the point to move off. Nature's way of saying survival of the fittest, Rexy deserves a lifetime supply of goats. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Becky. But anyway, folks, this movie is good. I don't want to go too far into spoilers because I don't want to spoil the movie completely for people. However, this movie has entertainment quality. Like I said, moviegoer is about an 8.5 out of 10. I got a little bit bored. I checked my phone. And when I check my phone, that means I'm getting bored in the theater. But this movie does have great entertainment quality. Subjectively, I put this movie at 8 to an 8.5 because of the CGI and because of some of the more questionable elements, like why did this movie get marketed as woke, yet there's no overt wokeness in this movie? Will Happy Dino be happy with the movie? I'm hoping he will, because this movie is a good one for dinosaurs. But yeah, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Static 2020, Soul Assassin, Becky Brown, Vanja, thank you so much. Jacob Ironside, good to see you. Jedi Padawan Trailer, and Rough Girl, always a pleasure. So yes, objectively speaking, this movie passes with a 6.5 out of 5 or 10. It passes by the skin of its teeth because of very bad CGI, bad writing, and bad acting in certain areas. Where subjectively, it's about an 8 to an 8.5. And moviegoer, it's about an 8.5 to a 9. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of Jurassic World Dominion? Did you like it? Did you not? How would you rate it out of 10? Subjective, objective, all that jazz, folks. Catch it on the replay if you haven't. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.